It looks like you can include China on the list of places that have approved the acquisition by Microsoft of Activision Blizzard. And the CMA, who blocked the deal, is getting grilled by their parliament. Let's dive into these stories right now. So the news about the merger being approved looks like it first came from Seeking Alpha, who said Microsoft's planned $69 billion Activision purchase gets China antitrust approval. So that means that China is now added to the list of locations that have approved the deal. So far, there's only been 2 places that have blocked it: the FTC, who still refuses to hear from Microsoft about any concessions, and the CMA, who blocked it because of cloud gaming, of all things. Here is the quote of Seeking Alpha and IGN. China's unconditional clearance of our acquisition of Activision Blizzard follows clearance decisions from jurisdictions such as the European Union and Japan, bringing the total to 37 countries representing more than 2 billion people. The acquisition, combined with our recent commitments to the European Commission, will empower consumers worldwide to play more games on more devices. Now, I've always said that long term, I think this deal will go through. I did expect the CMA to approve it. I'm surprised by their blocking. And it seems like I'm not the only one, because if we go on over here to Eurogamer.net, we can see they're saying that the UK's MP grill regulator over Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal block day after EU grants approval. There are questions over whether the UK is open for business. Now, there's been a lot of criticism directed toward the EU, or the UK, sorry, because they blocked the deal, with some people even pointing out that it seems like they got their math wrong again. And you got to remember, they got their math wrong when they originally said we have concerns over the console market. Their math was incorrect. So Tom Warren says that the EU thinks the CMA has overstated Microsoft's 60 to 70% market share of cloud gaming, according to FT. The CMA previously miscalculated a financial model around Call of Duty. One EU official suggested the CMA had overstated Microsoft's share of the cloud game streaming market, suggesting that the 60% to 70% estimate stated by the UK regulator in its final ruling included many subscribers to Microsoft's Game Pass subscription service who do not actually use the cloud gaming features of the product. For us, it's not a separate market, it's a segment of the overall video game market, the official said. So not only would that line up with their mistake of understanding how the market worked in regards to Call of Duty, they miscalculated there, but it sort of makes sense. If they just counted all of Game Pass subscribers as cloud gaming users, then that would be an error on their part that they would need to correct, and potentially something that Microsoft can bring to the tribunal and say, look, they got their math wrong again. Like, we own less than what they're saying. So the CMA could still decide to block it long term. But the question remains, what happens if they end up blocking it? So Post Up found this great clip from the analyst over at Yahoo, who said the following. Let me make sure my desktop audio is set, because last time all my settings reverted. All right, so it should be good. I'm going to put on the headphones so I can listen along with you. Let's hear it.
Then perhaps the FTC can say, okay, or a judge can say, okay, you're satisfying the concerns that the FTC has there. If that happens, then what happens in the UK? Well, if Activision Blizzard and Microsoft can't appeal or lose the appeal there, some of the experts I spoke to say they might just carve out the UK on its own, set up a secondary business where they'll just operate as they do now, separate entities. And on the global scale, you would have Microsoft and Activision being able to offer their services as one. So you would have basically what Microsoft wants to do is make its cloud gaming platform the best in the world. Frankly, it is right now as far as offerings go and capabilities. And then they'll be able to grow in the mobile gaming space. Another part that a lot of people aren't talking about, but an important piece of this discussion. Now, they would be able to do that everywhere else in the world. People would be able to play games on their smartphones that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do because of cloud gaming. And then the UK would just be left kind of in the dust. And perhaps down the line that would change.
Yeah. So basically, the long and the short of it is the UK would still have access to Activision Blizzard games. They just carve it out as a separate entity. So if the tribunal says, no, we're going to block it, then everybody, consumers in the UK are going to be just not getting as good of a deal as everywhere else in the world, assuming that the FTC approves said deal, right? So the deal has to go through the FTC litigation. It has to go through the tribunal also. And all of these things are happening. So a little bit more about them getting grilled here. The UK Competition and Markets Authority has defended its position to block Microsoft's $68.7 billion Activision Blizzard buyout as part of a grilling by MPs today. CMA bosses Marcus Bochernick and Sarah Cardell faced repeated questions from the UK government's Business and Trade Committee this morning relating to the decision just a day after the European Commission voted to approve the deal in the EU. There was this big hearing. It was a very long one, and a large portion of it was about blocking the Activision Blizzard deal, because they're like, this is sending a signal. If you're blocking Microsoft, it's just sending a signal to the rest of the world that we're closed for business. And they're trying to, my son just banged on the door and scared me. They're trying to be like the tech hub of the world, right? MP asked the CMA to explain why it had reached a different decision on the deal to its Europe. He was so quiet, and then just boom. Anyway, and repeatedly questioned whether the CMA had considered the effects of blocking a deal like this on the UK's international reputation. I understand the inference, did I get that right? That when a decision is made that blocks a deal, there are questions over whether the UK is open for business, CMA Chair Marcus replied. All businesses know there's a very big difference between building a business, investing in new businesses, investing in a startup, creating a new business. There's a big difference between that and buying an already established, well-established firm with established positions. The two are not the same. The UK has always encouraged, and it is the CMA's duty to encourage open competitive markets. We are vigilant, as it is our duty to be, to investments that consolidate an already entrenched market power. I would challenge the premise that there is an impact on international confidence in doing the business in the UK, Bochernick continued, suggesting that it would conversely not inspire confidence if the UK was seen to be turning a blind eye to anti-competitive mergers. The CMA's decision to block the deal has repeatedly split over into the political arena, as both Microsoft and Activision Blizzard bosses have criticized the UK's stance on the deal as being bad for business and a signal the UK is less welcoming for firms post-Brexit compared to mainland Europe. Now, this isn't like a hostile takeover. This isn't Microsoft like bullying Activision into selling. Activision and Microsoft had a meeting at some point, and they said, hey, would you be interested in selling? Activision said, yeah, we would be interested in selling. And they want to sell to this company. So if this were a hostile takeover, I would have a very different stance on it. But this is one company that has a lot of money that wants to buy another company that wants to make a lot of money from the deal. And any investor at Activision stands to make a lot of money. So obviously, a lot of people don't like that Bobby Kotick is going to get a big fat payday out of this. But there's a whole lot of other people at the company who probably get stock as part of their option that are also going to get a big payday. There was one other thing I wanted to share, because there was an interesting quote here. Oh, if you're hearing that, we're going to get to that in just a second, because they asked Satya Nadella his take on the situation. Let's hear what he said.
U.S., if it was approved, sell the products in Europe and not sell it in the UK if they didn't approve it?
Let's wait for it all to play out.
So basically, the long and the short of it is they asked Satya Nadella, what are you going to do if if it gets approved everywhere else? Because now it's like, what's left? New Zealand is left. Nowhere big, nowhere that's signaling that they're going to block the deal. And everywhere else has approved it without concessions, I believe. The EU had some notes about cloud gaming, but what happens if we get to that future where the UK is the only place that has blocked the deal? Well, the UK is going to be getting a less attractive package from Microsoft in terms of Game Pass and what Game Pass offers, and we'll just be paying $70 for Call of Duty, and they won't get access to it in the other locations. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I think we're going all the way to trial for the FTC. The FTC seems staunchly entrenched with their stance, not moving one way or the other. And the CMA will likely go to tribunal also. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. It's been a little bit harder with the kiddos not letting me stay up late sometimes because I got to help with the kids. But that's what you're supposed to do when you're a parent. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. If you like my content, you'll always know when I post. And if you like this video, hit that like button. Thank you so much to the members for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you. Click that join button if you want to become a member and support the channel. I feel like I should say something about I'll talk about it in another video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see my previous video, you can check it out right here, and I'll catch you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.